How do I do it all? The Brezza gives me the power.
Incredible. That is some IPL match. Ashutosh Sharma has turned it on for the Delhi Capitals. He did it for the Punjab Kings last season and he made a name for himself, picked up, and he's now taken his team over the line in a game that ebbed and flowed, that both teams will look back and think, how did we let this slip here? How did we let this come back here? In the end, Delhi Capitals prevail in the first thriller of IPL 2025. This is Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricket for Timeout in the fine company of Matthew Hayden, Ambati, Rayudu and Piyush Chawla to make sense of this game. I genuinely want to start like that. Please make sense of this game because I really want to know where your mind is at instantly after we've seen that game of cricket. Rayudu.
I think Shardul's 2 overs that were left, the most experienced bowler that they have in terms of LSG, and he didn't bowl those 2 overs. And especially they were young Indian players playing there. Shardul, I think that's a big miss.
That is Rayudu's first thought. Haydos.
Somehow making lemonade out of lemons. Because in reality, they were 5 for 88 at the halfway mark. Right? So we're serving up lemons, and suddenly from that position, it was just a comprehensive last 10 overs.
And I think, I would say pretty ordinary bowling on a pitch where there was help for the spinners. And if you look at the numbers, like sometimes you say number doesn't suggest how you bowled, but particularly this game where there was enough spin and the team was under pressure, your main bowler going for 50 plus, then other bowlers conceding 40 plus, that too with the, batters who were just a little bit struggling against that bowl, but still. So I think very ordinary bowling performance.
I can understand why all three of you are first thinking, how did the bowling side not win from this situation? Because after 7 overs when Delhi was 66 for 5, ESPN Cricket Force forecaster had Delhi at a less than 3% chance for a win probability. And after the 13th over, it went to under 2%. Now those are numbers that will add context to why this panel of experts thinks that the bowling team has just let this go. We'll come to that more in detail, but Ashutosh Sharma, let's spend a little bit of time on him.
Yeah.
And what stands out, because amongst all the mistakes that Lucknow has made, what has he done right? Haydos.
See, it's easy to make runs when you've got it all laid out for you. Yeah. Very difficult in that situation when your side is just about, well, your win predictor said 3%.
Yeah.
I'd like to clarify also that our win predictor said that we were 100% on the team that actually won.
For a large part of the innings,
buddy.
Rayudu's half-time prediction was looking spot on.
Wasn't it? We were saying you're a genius. Now, he needs to zip it.com.
Rayudu, you say this often, don't you, that you must have experienced middle order, lower middle order players. That's the difference. This guy's a young fellow. He's done it one season and we all now have expectations. They've picked him up at the auction for good money. What was impressive about this innings for you? You've done these innings yourself, haven't you?
No, I think most impressive thing was he was calm and he was also calculating and he was playing good shots. And there was no sign of panic. We have seen that last year also. He has played some incredible innings. So this guy has calmness under pressure, and I feel he has the game as well, especially to the balls that are pitching up, Yorkers. He has that whip and he breaks those wrists, and it's an incredible innings against, I would say, as Piyush said, not so great bowling towards the end, and maybe, you can't bowl fast bowlers in the 19th, in the 20th over.
Yeah.
It's tough for any team to defend.
And even that on that 19th over, not having him mid-wicket, when the bowler's obviously looking to go up into the block hole, and a batsman is set at the crease and he's also set hit into a position, and that was an easy boundary. That was a free hit in essence.
I think I'm going to break down the Pant captaincy chat for a more detailed one in a moment. But since we're talking about Ashutosh, let's also talk about where the momentum sort of changed. Tristan Stubbs had an innings that sort of brought the game back. But Vipraj Nigam, you told us he can bowl. You didn't tell us he can bat.
Well, till under 19 he played as a batsman who was a part-time leg spinner, but he has done really well in under 19. That's how he became a lower order batter. So he has that potential and he showed today. And I didn't talk about his batting because I saw him in that UP league where he didn't get that many runs, but we all knew that he can bat. But bat like this, he actually changed the game. And we are talking about Ashutosh Sharma, but he was the one who actually shifted the momentum in favor of Delhi.
Yeah.
Because at that time, you wanted somebody to stay there, somebody like Ashutosh Sharma to stay till the last, but you need somebody from the other end to take the bowlers on, and that's what exactly Vipraj did. And whatever he did, it worked out in his favor.
See that number over there? Yeah, my finger was just getting to it. Highest score in 5 T20 innings before this. Oh, sorry, previous highest score was 27. So he's got a story to take home today. He could have had Nicholas Puran caught as well, but that's for another day. He'll be very happy about contributing with the bat. But yes, I can totally get why the three of you want to break this down on how have Lucknow let this game go. Let's talk about the bowling, the tactics all around. What did it reek of, that whole bowling effort for you, Rayudu?
I think, they bowled too full, especially the spinners, too many half volleys. And when you bowled the right length, it was not easy. Ball was gripping and turning. So I think it was a very bad execution of length. And also, even the change of bowlers was not great. When you have two young Indian batsmen batting out there, you should get a fast bowler slightly earlier into the
So you're
attack.
saying there was assistance for the spinners?
Yeah.
Bishnoi is an experienced spinner, retained player.
Well, that's true, but as he mentioned, there was some grip. We saw Siddharth getting that Sameer Rizvi out. That
very
was a
well.
gripper.
Did he?
And even when Shahbaz was bowling, it was spinning. So the mistake was, even if it was gripping, you have to bowl in the right areas. You can't just bowl underneath the bat, because if you bowl underneath the bat, you're not giving the chance to the ball to spin. And that's what exactly happened. Ravi Bishnoi, either he was too short or he was too full. He missed his, the areas with almost, say, 2 to 3 feet, and that's a big error, because on a pitch where the ball is gripping and the boundaries are small, if you bowl underneath the bat, it becomes really easy for the batter.
Posting, is there a possibility that, 5 for 88, halfway mark, wicket that's just turning, holding a little bit as it did in the first innings? Is there a time when maybe captain players just cruised, just went, we've got this in the bank, and it's always a mistake.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times have we watched in the IPL?
It actually does happen sometimes, especially when there's some assistance for the spinner. So as a spinner, you also just get carried away that thinking, okay, lower order is batting, I'll just bowl little full and try to get the batsman out with the beauty of a ball.
I want to, at this point, tell you what Rishabh Pant has said, just in the aftermath of that game speaking. Pant says, I think the runs were enough on the board. The batters batted really well. We may have lost the momentum in the middle, but I think that's a pretty good score on this wicket. That's of LSG's batting performance. I think as the ball got older, there was help for the bowlers, but we could have done the basics more. We felt the pressure. It's early in the tournament and we're settling in. Luck plays a big part. If it hadn't hit his pad, that's Mohit Sharma's pad, I'm presuming, in the last over, it would have been a big chance for a stumping. So he's looking at that. He's bringing in the element of luck, but I think he's also bringing the bowlers under the scanner here. Batters had enough runs. Bowlers didn't do the basics right, but they also didn't have a very experienced bowling lineup. That is what we said at the top of our show. Was that what cost them today? Had they had a couple of their major bowlers, could this have been different?
Well, I think it's an obvious piece of analysis. But I also think you do have to give credit to a superb bottom order batting performance on a tricky wicket.
Yeah.
And even just, what Pushy was saying there about spinners, just trying to toss it up. Not hoping to get a wicket, but thinking, well, that's the best option. Under pressure, older ball, wicket that's turning a little bit. 9 times out of 10, the spinner's probably going to come off in that situation.
I mean, I'm thinking now, actually, their bowlers did a great job. 66 for 5.
Correct.
And that's a pretty strong Delhi top order. I mean, without KL Rahul, yes, but that's a strong top order. After that, how much is down to captaincy? And I can see that coming through in our comments on our YouTube live as well. Feel free to join the conversation like you do every day, folks. Pant's captaincy, the choice of bowling changes, pick out what you saw most glaringly.
I think, especially in this format, when the wicket is gripping, when the seam is hard and new, it actually grips more and it turns a bit. And when it is slightly softer, it tends to skid on more. And that's when you need to get your fast bowlers in when, especially the lower order batsmen are batting. So I think he missed a trick there by not getting Shardul Thakur or Prince slightly earlier into the attack when Ashutosh and the young leg spinner who batted today, Vipraj, So I think he should have gotten in a fast bowler then.
I mean, I'm amazed that Shardul Thakur, who's experienced player, 19th over. Would you have gone Shardul?
Definitely with the Shardul Thakur, because so many times we talk about the experience coming in those crunch situations. An experienced guy can handle the pressure better, and that was actually a pressure situation. You know, you have to bowl that penultimate over, and you make sure you leave enough run for the 20th over. So, not going to Shardul Thakur, I think it was a great mess.
Especially looking at the kind of batting you have there. I mean, Shardul at times you can think, okay, he can go for a few, but you were down to Indian domestic batters and the lower order.
But the hutch is empty. All of their players not playing today. I mean, that was something that we signalled to our audience that was going to happen, and it did happen. So, yeah, you go to Shardul Thakur, and it goes for 15 as well.
Yep.
You know, I suppose the odds at that point in time, without being too critical on Rishabh, is that it's turning, holding, there's lots of scoreboard pressure.
Yeah.
It just didn't happen.
You speak so much about Dhoni, and we have seen the greatness of the man and of captains that remain sort of calm. Pat Cummins has shown that to Shreyas Iyer, in fact, I think shows it. You could see a lot of the emotion of the game on Rishabh Pant.
Yeah, I mean, see, all the great captains that you have spoken about, they're always one step ahead. They would actually predict things might go this way, and then they just try and play percentages. They try and stop the game before it gets to the point where you are under pressure.
Yeah.
So I think Rishabh Pant maybe is still learning. Early days, I wouldn't say early days, but
medium days now.
From early days for LSG.
Yeah, early days for LSG.
First day in the office, tough day in the office for LSG.
Mohit Sharma's second ball had to get off strike. Bishnoi comes in from backward point, doesn't execute the run out, which I think it was a genuine case of a run out as well. It'll never go down, in the stats, but I'd like to mention those unique performances that happen in every match that are they're markers for how a team is going. There are markers around the awareness of a situation. He then gets off strike, gets our mate into the hitting zone, and he finishes it off. And that's often the case in these really closely contested matches. Those little critical moments, they're not a nice to have anymore. They're an absolute must do.
Yeah, I mean, even the previous over when they sneaked that by, which was very risky. If Pant knocks down the stumps there, Ashutosh has run out, and maybe then you have more to do for the last two batters. And I'm trying to think the way Pant has thrown that. He's missed by a lot. It reeks of a captain who's clearly the heart rate is up. He's feeling it. Does that spread to the team? No, does that also lead to the fielder? In the instance Haydos brings up, then also making the mistake because everybody suddenly. Like you said, the pressure has come back on Lucknow.
Yeah, it did. It did come back on Lucknow towards the end. We have seen that in the fielding as well as bowling. Yeah. When Ashutosh came back on strike, Shahbaz tried to bowl fast and full. On this wicket, if you are bowling slightly slower and further away, it was not easy to hit. So, and even Dhoni, that is game awareness, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
Those are the small things that good teams do well. That really wins you those tight games, and Rishabh Pant definitely looked a little tight under pressure. So maybe early days for LSG, and I'm sure luck is what he has spoken about.
I also
hopefully he needs a lot of luck if he doesn't bowl Shardul Thakur in a game.
And if the other fast bowlers who we are thinking will be back get fit and come back like Avesh, Akash or Mayank, so then he'll need a lot of luck.
We speak a lot of MS Dhoni's calmness. I guarantee you that the one thing that used to really get on his nerves is someone not thinking in the field.
Yeah.
I reckon Rishabh Pant's got every right to go off his nut in that situation. It doesn't seem like something big, but it can turn out to be a game changer.
Yeah, because Mohit Sharma lunged and he was just putting his bat there. Yeah. So your covers and point have to be right in his face. In a moment like that.
Well, we saw him in the backup, I think, in 2 overs previous to that. He basically was faster than the ball down there. Yeah. He must have got warned, I'd reckon. He literally took off. The one thing that, the man cat, whenever it comes up, is something that we all think, that shouldn't happen. But there's a clear case under pressure. someone's setting off before the ball's actually released.
Yeah.
Fascinating. I'm just picking up some more post-match reaction. Faf du Plessis is saying, amazing game of cricket, shows you obviously a lot of cricketers will complain about the new rule, but that's what the rule is there. That's what the rule is there for in the game. I think he's talking about the impact player rule. And he says, when you think the game is buried, someone comes on and plays like that, which I think is a nice point, that the impact players allowed us to have this kind of game, closer games and whatnot. It's one thing that scores go up, but do you sense it's also contributed towards more close games?
Well, if you have batting till number 8, so you expect to get those big runs, and it's not that this rule has applied from this year. It's there for the past couple of years now. So teams are getting used to it, and looking at the matches earlier, the entertainment is there. You're getting those high scores and it's getting chased, but it has nothing to do with the new rule. It's just very ordinary bowling.
Okay, let's take some comments. You guys are really going on right now, and I hope that the comments so far by these fine men next to me have helped answer some of these, where Munshi ji is asking, why did Shardul not bowl? There was another one later on Shardul not bowling, so I think the panel's given you their opinion on that. Let's take a few more. Hone Riley says, if LSG couldn't win from here, I'm not sure they will get many better chances. It's only one game.
Yeah,
But I
it's only
can
one
see their
game.
point.
It's early days, and they have enough firepower in their batting to just win them a game. And they're bowling.
But this is the follow-up from the same user. I think it's a good point that with their weekend bowling lineup, which we knew at the start of the game, they should have got more. Is that fair? Pant is saying we got enough runs, but they were in a position to get 220, 230 plus.
They were in a much better position. Maybe at one point of time we thought they'll get around 240 because when they lost the second wicket, it was 2 balls short of 12th over and they were 133 runs. So from there, on such ground where the boundaries are small and you know it's a 6 hitting ground, you expect at least another 100 odd runs from there. If not 100, at least 80 runs, so which 80 to 90 runs, which adds up to 225 or something.
Tricky
like
wicket though. I'm still calling it a little bit tricky. I think there was a pretty good total. I mean, maybe you could 5 runs, maybe somewhere. But
it was a tricky wicket, but looking at that situation when they were 133 for 2 in less than 12 overs. So from there, I'm talking about even if you go 10 runs per over, which has become very normal these days. So from there, you could have got 215, 220.
I mean, what you need is one more batter along with David Miller. Just somebody to make, not throw away the position you've got.
And also, a lot of credit has to be given to the experienced bowling lineup of Delhi.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up. We must talk about that. They pulled this game back.
And that's why they invested so much in the experience of their bowlers. So this is where, you know, the lost games are actually pulled back.
Yeah.
So that's where experience really counts, and Delhi have done a great job in the auction.
I mean, Mitchell Stark getting Puran, that's big moment in the game. Kuldeep Yadav bowling 4 overs at 5 and over. Game like this today. And even Mukesh Kumar was a little bit expensive, Mohit Sharma, but given the context of things, they all did their job.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating how they pull the game back. It's not easy because we were 117 in 10 overs, and then from then on to restrict them to 209 in a small ground is not easy, and it's all experience there.
Let's take some more questions coming through. Steve Matthew wants to ask Haydos on Vipraj's power with that one-handed 6. I almost showed it to you again, didn't I, when it happened?
Yeah, we were looking at it live, weren't we? Just going,
like that.
Where does it happen? Yeah, well, one of the areas where you can generate power with one hand is to get extension through the bat. It actually does allow you to extend further into the ball. In fact, I was taught something very early in my professional career around a squash player, how they used to scoop the ball out of the corner, but literally keep the squash ball on the bat a long time to develop enough power from the back of the court. And it's similar to cricket as well. If you meet the ball and then continue your hands, one hand has to come off the bat basically, but you get maybe another 1.5 feet of extension, and that creates the power.
That squash player wasn't Adam Gilchrist, was it?
Now that is something unique. That's a whole other show.
If you know, you know. More questions. Mr. Cricket with a nice one. Moral of the story is the best IPL games are from the Telugu region. Does Ambati Rayudu agree?
No, I think today was a game of the most unforced errors, and LSG has made the most unforced errors in this game. So
I like it. We're getting squash and tennis terminology in, but you're right. There are so many unforced errors. We had a few more good ones over here. Varun Anger says bowling of LSG seems very, very deflated. Again, we must remind you viewers, it's a lot of bowlers that they're missing today. We mentioned on the pre-show, it's 35 crore nearly of their purse that was absent due to injury. So you get Mohsin Khan, who's now ruled out, Mayank Yadav, Akash Deep. You're missing just most of your bowling resources. That being said, though, we come back to the point of, they have only one overseas seamer on their bench. It's not like they have a lot of options.
And that also they didn't play.
Yeah, I mean, they only went for 6 overseas players in total. They didn't even exhaust their quota of 8. But I guess we can spend more time on this, looking at how the season goes on. What else? We're still seeing some more coming in for Shardul. That's been addressed. Shahbaz Ahmed, interestingly, why was he given the last over? Was that a fair call?
Well, looking at the pitch, and then if you see Mohit Sharma was on strike, so you expect when the ball is turning to get him out, and he almost created that chance. And as Rishabh mentioned, if there was no pad, it was an easy stumping. So that was the only chance, because if fast bowler was bowling that last over with 6 runs to defend, it's not easy. You just have to put a bat onto a ball, and even when the keeper is behind, Ashutosh would have run. So you have to get them out like bowled or LBW. So I think that was a fair call, getting Shahbaz Ahmed, maybe to get Mohit Sharma out. So.
I mean, it was only 6 to get, but it was 1 wicket, right? It was down to the last pair. So all you need is one guy who's best suited to get you that wicket.
Yeah, I mean, I would have gone to Shardul. Just because he's experienced and he has played a lot of IPL cricket and he knows how to bowl on slow wickets, and he has those cutters. He can bowl a good bouncer. So there's a trick that they have missed, I feel, and they will learn from this.
Sure.
And they look like they're a good side.
Yeah. P.S. Gautam, why is it that Ravi Bishnoi has been bowling floaters in the past 2 seasons while his initial success was built on a length similar to Rashid and a deceptive googly?
Well, it happens when you are like trying to turn the ball, and have been a lot of talks that he doesn't spin his leg spin, and he's trying to do that. Even we saw that today, he was trying to spin his leg spin, but in that process, he's leaving what his strengths are, like hitting those good lengths where ball comes between knee and hip height, and with that kind of a pace, cramping up the batsman. So I think he has to go back to his basics, what his natural strength is. Otherwise, it's not going to be easy for him, because with his pace, the length which he bowls underneath the bat, it becomes really easy for the batter.
Nani Kaur is saying Ashutosh did a Piyush Chawla from the 2014 final.
No, he scored
60.
I scored just 13-14.
So, final of the IPL.
Yeah, so pressure and
triple,
so pressure, so you make 13 into 6.
Hey Ross, how about this one? There are 2 international captains in that team, Akram and Puran. Could they have assisted things more over there? There's even a couple of comments here saying maybe they should consider giving the captaincy over to one of them so that Pant can be free with all the price tag and whatnot. He should simply just bat. One game reaction.
I think that's a ridiculous comment. Sorry. You pay a fortune for Rishabh Pant. You have to, I think, have that prime leader that's there. He's got the capabilities of doing so. It wasn't his day. In many ways, his bowlers, which we were really thinking we're going to give up the ghost, didn't finish off the game as they could have.
A couple of quick ones to wrap it up. Sumit Singh wants to know who will replace KL Rahul when the next match is up. Firstly, many congratulations to KL Rahul and Atiya Shetty. The family's delivered a baby girl, so all of our best wishes with you. And we hope KL will be back sometime soon with the squad. But who makes way for him? Samir Rizvi is an option, I guess.
Yeah, I think after one game you can't drop someone. So.
Yeah, but if you have to make a place for
KL
Rahul,
then Samir Rizvi has to go out.
Samir Rizvi only will go out. He only makes the way for
I mean, they're certainly going to get stronger once KL's back in that team. There's that. And this is a nice one. Did Punjab make a mistake letting go of Ashutosh Sharma?
Punjab has made a lot of mistakes over the years. It's the 16th captain in the IPL, so, they have let go of a lot of good players, and Ashutosh has proven that.
Correct.
Man, all right. That is brilliant. I think we've covered pretty much everything, and we did say at halftime that we want to see how this game plays out. Now, all those things you can put into context to what happened in the first innings, but Such is the IPL. We got a thriller, and now it's time for our rapid fire review with the panel. Gentlemen, this is going to be a tough one because it's so much event that happened, so many incidents in this. So let's go one by one. Now, Rayudu, let me start with you. What stood out the most in Ashutosh Sharma's knock?
I think his composure and his calmness, and taking the game deep, I feel, is the key.
Piyush Chawla, a wicket in the first over. He could have had Puran, then 39 of 15. How would you rate Vipraj Nigam's IPL debut?
I think it was pretty good as long as you're finishing on the winning side. And that special knock of, I'm not talking about his bowling. He bowled well in that first over. He picked up a wicket. He almost had Puran. So after 2 sixes, almost got him out. That easy catch was dropped. And that's part of game. But those crucial 39 runs of 15 ball, that really helped Ashutosh cause to finish the game for the team.
If you want to give him a score out of 10 today?
To Vipraj? Yeah. Now they finished on the winning line. I'll give him 10.
Oh, okay. Everything.
I'm being biased.
You're a generous man to the leg spinners. Hey, Dos, is it fair to say that as incredible as this game was, it was a game Lucknow lost more than Delhi won?
I think that's pretty harsh.
Okay.
Considering that, the way the front half of that run chase went, and then the back half. But there's elements certainly that's an accurate assessment as well. Even thinking of, the 18th over, I think it was a Bishnoi over, he took the wicket of Stark, but he went for 17 runs. When runs at that point were an absolute premium, he was, dishing up the aerial route.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
All right, continuing with the rapid fire, what explains Rishabh Pant not going back to Shardul Thakur through the death? Rayudu?
I think he was trying to maybe do what MS Dhoni used to do when, on wickets like that especially, bowling spinners in the end. And his spinners actually let him down, to be very honest. I don't think it's the captaincy. I think it's the bowling execution that has let him and LSG down.
Okay, let's see what worked right for the Lucknow bowling. Piyush, were you surprised by the Lucknow bowling effort through the first half of that second innings?
Well, Lucknow bowled pretty well in the first half, and I was not surprised, to be honest, because there was some help for the spinners and they bowled a pretty good job. And Shardul, we all know with the new ball, he can get some swing. And the planning to get McGurk, he got long off right from the first ball. Generally, it doesn't happen. Like you see long on mid-wicket, but not long off. So it was a proper planning and the execution was there. So I was not surprised. The planning they had in the meeting and they executed well. But later half was little...
All right. Hedos, your quick assessment of Marsh's 72 of 36 and Puran's 75 of 30.
Yeah, both powerful innings, strike rates of 200 and 250. So that was absolute control. I was a little personally concerned about the way that Marsh would start this IPL. He hasn't had a lot of cricket. There's been injury concerns. So a nice little tick for them to get off there. And, Puran, I think, was in total control.
And this is for all three of you. Just to wrap it up now, getting this kind of win in your opening game, new squad, new captain, no KL Rahul, no Natarajan. What do you think it'll do for Delhi's season? Rayudu?
I think it'll give them that primal confidence that we can win any game or we can win any game from any situation. So that's the confidence you need in your first 1 or 2 games, so that it brings the team together, brings the staff together, and you start believing in that miracle of a season.
So it reminds me of how Gujarat were in their opening season quite a few times.
Yeah, and I think it's very important to set that. We often talk about the momentum, and it's very important to get few points on points table in the first few games, because later on you think we'll catch up. It becomes really difficult when the tournament goes, in the second half. So it's very important to win this kind of a game so that when you go ahead for the next game and the situation is such, so you can calm your nerves and you can win out of that.
Hedos, final word from you.
I think Lucknow are in real trouble. I think this will only exacerbate that primal instinct of trying to win with half the squad that's available, and I think they're looking down the barrel early doors.
Well, both teams will now play in their next game the Sunrisers Hyderabad, and Lucknow will play them on Thursday, when I don't think many of these bowlers will be fit. That's less than 3 days' time. That's at Hyderabad. And DC will play Hyderabad in Visakhapatnam on Sunday.
So the only good part is it's a short flight.
Nobody wants to play Hyderabad right now.
Right. Well, that is going to be fascinating to look forward to as the week goes on. Speaking of Gujarat Titans and the leagues tomorrow, Matthew Hayden is off to Ahmedabad. Thank you so much, Haydos.
Yeah, pleasure.
Starting
Looking
us
forward
off
to the next one.
to cracking days. Yeah, we hope to have you back very soon
Beauty.
in our studios. Piyush Chawla will earn a well-deserved break only from our setup. He'll be over to GeoStar Services
But I'll
tomorrow.
see you around here.
Of course. If you forget your wages, come back here on the couch. There'll be place for you. Rayudu, see you back again tomorrow. We can't get enough of the great Ambati Rayudu. Thank you so much, gentlemen. It's been an absolute pleasure. That wraps up what's been the first and what we hope the first of many thrillers for IPL 2025. Delhi prevailing over Lucknow. Our attention will be on Gujarat and Punjab, the only two teams we're still to see in action in this tournament. Join us for build-up just before the toss on Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricket for Timeout. Connect.
How do I do it all? The Brezza gives me the power.